Viewing of this tape is prohibited. Discard it immediately. Viewing of this tape is prohibited. Discard it immediately. Viewing of this tape is prohibited. Discard it immediately. Viewing of the...
This happened back in August of 2011 in the greater Los Angeles area. During my first year of high school, I was going through some rough times. I was extremely hostile and rebellious, and I greatly worried my parents. There were a few instances where they almost wanted to call the police on me due to my impulsive and negative behavior. So, here's the story. I just ended my first year of high school. I used to sleep with the door open back in the day until this happened. I randomly woke up one morning around 1:30 a.m. I stayed awake, looking at the ceiling, wondering if I should go back to sleep or play some video games. While I was deciding what to do, I heard faint footsteps. At first, I was thinking that it was just in my head, or maybe it was the sound of creaking wood. I heard the footsteps again, but this time they grew louder and louder, and sounded like someone was walking straight to my room. But again, I played it off as creaking wood. After a little while, I noticed something in my peripheral vision. I could see a shadow, or an object, standing at my doorway. I knew something was right there, because I could not directly see my brother's room a few feet from mine. Something was blocking my entrance. I glanced and looked at the shadow. It looked humanoid, or in the form of a person. I assumed it was maybe my parents checking in on us like they used to back then. Minutes passed, and I saw that the shadow would not move or go away. I got curious to see who was blocking my doorway, and slowly, the shadow started coming into the light. It was an extremely tall and abnormally thin humanoid, about 7 to 8 feet tall. It was faceless, hairless, bald, and had a fair skin complexion with visible veins under his faceless skin. The entity was dressed old-fashioned, like what a grandpa would dress. It had cream-colored sweater with what appeared to be random paint strokes and splashes on it of many colors, and black slacks. It was just standing there, as if it was looking at me. I thought I was dreaming. I started blinking, shaking my head, and even slapped myself in hopes that when I opened my eyes each time, it would disappear, and I could dismiss this as a nightmare or possible hallucination. After my final attempt to wake up, I stopped and looked across. It was still standing there. I leaned up from my bed to get a closer look at the entity, and saw it had freakishly long arms, way past the knee, and fell onto the floor. That was when I immediately freaked out and pulled the covers over my face. I tried yelling for help, and I couldn't scream at all from the terror. About 30 minutes later, I built up some courage and pulled the covers off, and to my surprise, it was gone. After the encounter, I ran to my parents' room to tell them what had happened earlier. Later, after sunrise during breakfast, I was about to tell my mother about the crazy dream I had. Still, she immediately interrupted me, saying I had gone into her room very early in the morning, petrified, frightened, and talking about the tall man I had seen. That was when I realized that I was not dreaming at all, and that event had indeed happened. Strangely enough, after encountering the entity, my mother said that I had changed drastically for the better. I haven't seen it since, but a few years later, my youngest brother also saw the same entity kneeling before him, wearing an old-fashioned suit, staring down at him.